All right, good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, January 8th, 2026. I'll call this meeting of the Board of Harbor Commissioners for the Town of LaPointe to order. This morning with us, we have Mary Ross.
Present.
Joseph Wiltz. Present. Zach Montang is present. Glenn Carlson. Here. Via Zoom, we have Michael Collins.
Here.
Evan Erickson.
Here.
We also have Robin Russell on Zoom. And Cal Linehan just joined. And staff present, we have Katie Kisner. First up on the agenda is public comment. Hearing no public comment, I will move on to the minutes of the December 18th meeting.
I move that we approve the minutes of Thursday, December 18th.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Next up, Chief Administrative Officer report.
So I have the current balance of the Harbor Commission bank accounts. This was as of Tuesday. I think here and Tuesday, January 6th. The Miffle utility checking account was at $247,585.02. December revenue was just over $153,000, which was 130% of our budgeted income for the month. Now that December revenue still doesn't include some of the parcel hauling and things like that, so that should even increase after that. January revenue Tuesdays was just over 6,000, which is about 5% of our budgeted income for the month. Which after entering in revenue through yesterday, we're at almost 13% of the budgeted income. Just so kind of catch that.
Given my question to you, I'm obviously late, can you?
I don't have any financial sheets.
Okay, I sent you a text back. On what I was looking at, ahead of time, the net income was 14 came in, 183 budgeted.
It was 197.
No, there, you're skipping a column.
We're 183 short.
No, the budget is 183.
Are we talking about for the month of January?
Yeah, net.
Actual budget for the second.
Yep.
Okay, just for it's got that top portion that we have for January. We are at 15 as of this morning.
Yeah.
It's like we're at 50,000 change.
Right.
And we have a budget of 121,000 for the month.
She's looking on page 2.
On net, bottom of page 2.
Toward the bottom of page 2, where the income shows us.
We wouldn't have any expenses for January yet. So
But so I think
budget
you're
for
off
that.
a column.
No, I really don't think I'm off a column.
It's not in the sheet. It's looking.
They will be in there. Okay,
So for January,
what I saw is, in the first column, actual, second column, budget, next column, deviation from budget.
yeah, so we don't have any of the expenses for January entered into QuickBooks yet. I don't.
No, I agree and I understand all of that, but wouldn't you take revenue and deduct it from the monthly budget to know how much left of the budget is actually needed to be covered?
I don't know how you can do that without knowing what the expenditures are.
But I would, then you simply add the negative number of 14 and make it 197? That doesn't make sense to me.
I'm happy to look at it after the meeting again, but
Yeah.
technically right now, the only thing that is accurate with what I submit for that budget versus for the daily report
Right.
it's just to look at the revenue percentage. at the very top, that
Right.
part, but I'm happy to look at like the.
Well, it's because I'm asked to look across the thing and calculate it in my head too, and it didn't.
Look at it after, I don't have it in front of me, but I
Okay.
can walk through it.
Thank you.
I did include the letter that we sent to the school, just requesting that events for the next year be considered Thursday and Friday dates.
So nothing's
No, well, we just did that like right after the holiday,
right.
so, we have not received any sort of response to that just yet. I also included in 2026 cash flow summary, which did provide, there is an updated one, on the desk here. Evan and Michael Collins, I happen to send you the updated version as well. As you can see, we will have to, but by March, have to borrow funds. Luckily, we do have like a couple different options and ways that we can do this. I don't know if we want to cover all of those right now at this moment, or,
Well,
so the main update from this one versus the other one is the BCP loan payment that's at the very bottom. It should be the 184 instead of the 32,000 that was in the previous one. That was just the interest payment, was 32,000. We're paying both principal and interest that month, March.
which comes to about $600,000.
That's 624,000. Which.
And that will come out of the money market?
Yeah, so that's currently sitting in, that those funds are sitting in the money market. I do have a transfer sheet that Zach and I just signed that we will be moving those to the staging debt service account. So that's just sitting there, ready to be paid.
Is it the debt service or the revenue bond reserve
Debt
that
service.
does not go below 500?
It's the reserve fund, the 9360 account cannot go below the. It's,
Yeah, 525 or.
yeah.
So there's roughly, is there money in that account we could use? There's roughly 400,000, 350,000.
So the only funds that technically we can use from that account would be the first reimbursement that we've already received for the HAP funds. That would be kind of like the equivalent of the 2025 like balance fund that we added to the budget this year. There's $107,000 that has been reimbursed by the state already, that since it's been reimbursed, we can technically use it.
Okay.
So that is sitting in that account. So that is an option to pull that from that reserve. So that's an additional 107. Was just discussing the lease payment to the town, the 51,000 due in February. I believe we had it delayed until May of 2025 for the same springtime. That is potentially another option.
Can we ask the town if they'll let us do it at the same time we do the park improvement in August?
And then ideally, we'd get our second reimbursement from the HAP funds.
That
And those
is
could be-
included. I have that coming back to us in February.
Okay.
We're hopeful because it was submitted last year. That will affect things if we don't receive that reimbursement. Then it will kind of come down to, do we ask to borrow money from the town, or do we dive into the line of credit through bank? we have the 600,000 line of credit.
My preference would be to get it from the town.
I agree.
Interest rates.
Totally agree.
Better than it's paying ourselves,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we paid that back in late July or?
I think it was July.
Right, because Katie had requested
Oh, wait,
earlier. No,
I think it was paid in August.
okay.
So at this point, there's no new borrowing.
No borrowing is included. This is just what it would be without
Got
any funds borrowed,
Okay.
assuming that we receive that half reimbursement in
And
February.
you're talking 291,000.
The 231, 258.
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was looking at, yes, the 291. So that's 70% of what we sent in. So that's roughly what we got back for the first reimbursement. So then they hold like an additional
Right,
percentage
until the project is
So
complete.
I just have like 70% for that.
got it.
Are there any other questions regarding the cash flow? I'm more than happy to discuss. There's quite a few moving pieces on that.
Will you be able to, let's say on a month? This for
Yes,
us?
that is my plan to have that and present that monthly this year instead of, I had it where I was updating it like every few months last year, but I've found that it's just gonna be much expensive. Yeah.
Monthly down.
But yes, I'll send that out or have that presented for the presentation too.
Does anyone have any other questions or anything for Kate?
And then the only other thing on my report, sorry, was just a reminder that they are going to be switching to this, the two smaller boats soon. Looks like the Little Point's still running today, but just reminder to folks to use your smaller vehicle if you can.
How much ice are you seeing out there, Cal?
We've got about 5 to 6 on the island. And that's always the problem spot. I mean, that's where we run into every issue. So we're already, starting to see the kind of the operational limit of the La Pointe, and we're just, teetering on that, with these warm temps, it's kind of dragging it out. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm anticipating, as of today, and again, the weather changes every hour. But I'm anticipating as of today, we'll be shutting down the La Pointe, or the last day of the La Pointe will be Monday, the 12th. And then we'll be operating with the two smaller boats from there on out. And then as far as, the heavy ice that's going to cause schedule changes, I'm still foreseeing that many weeks out. We're going to get a message out on the website, showing people what that schedule looked like, the heavy ice schedule, and just an update as to, we believe that's, again, several weeks out. I'm anticipating in the ballpark of 3 right now if the weather, goes as forecasted. But we do already have some parking available in our main lot to try and help when we, downsize the smaller boat if people need to, park their vehicle and walk on.
Great. Anything else under Chief Administrative Officer report? If not, I will make a motion that we place it on file.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, 2026 ferry schedule. Katie, can you clear the? There we go.
The only thing I'd like to chime in here about that's been discussed with the schedule committee now is the starting in December of 2026 for that time block on the schedule. It is kind of up in the air now whether we add the 8 a.m. during the week. I did reach out at our last meeting to the request, the 8 a.m. requests, let them know that there were no changes for the current schedule, but that it would be up for discussion whether that 8 a.m. would be added to the schedule starting in December of 2026. So that 8 a.m. during the week is kind of a question as of right now, whether we want to add that or not, as well as a 7 a.m. trip for on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, during that same time frame, that December block. For the requests that came in for now, I did reach out, let her know that there was a ghost or essentially an unscheduled 7 a.m. boat coming from the mainland, at least through January as of right now, just because they are requiring a mainland crew to run that first boat. And they will contact her directly if there are any changes with that. But it's also, it's an option to add it to the schedule starting in December 2026 for both of those trips. They're currently not on the schedule because of the flexibility that they allow Mifflin to have with not having that 7 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. That allows Mifflin the flexibility of using either an island-based crew or a mainland crew.
Was it my understanding that that early boat is typically not very heavily traveled?
Yes,
On Saturdays and Sundays,
It's, yeah.
like 1.
Yeah.
Or more likely 0.
Yeah. I mean, I think in lieu of, maybe if we could try an outreach to see if there would be any other interest from other people, if they knew there was a scheduled boat, maybe some kind of public outreach saying if we did schedule this boat, would there be other people interested in it?
I think that puts too much of a kink in the timeline. I think we need to get this approved and printed or available to print.
Well, it doesn't need to get printed until the tariff is done. They get done at the same time.
This is Robin. I asked Roz to put together the rack card, and just yesterday I got a final rack card based on the schedule that Cal had shared with you earlier last year. So I can forward that to Katie when I get it done.
Yes, please.
I think, Mary, the only tariff adjustment is that we're gonna make is gonna hinge on our next agenda item, number 7, and then that could be submitted for 2026.
Well, what about the Native American thing? That letter we received from the woman from White Earth. We haven't talked about that.
I'm working to get, there's kind of a list, and it's that as well
That
as.
wouldn't affect scheduling necessarily though.
No, but it would affect tariff.
Right, but you could do that 30 days prior to,
So the tariff change is only 30 days. I thought it was 90.
To 30.
It's only 30. That's good.
Well, I would say if the ghost boat idea on Saturday and Sunday at 7, we foresee will work out next year as well, December of.
There's so many out there. I mean,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
have island-based crew. Is the person who requested this even going to be living on the island? I mean, there's so many variables.
So I think I would be inclined to not have 7 a.m. published
I agree.
right now.
Yeah, and hopefully the ferry line can work with the affected person and let her know when they are doing it.
Yeah.
So she can schedule it best she can.
Yep, I agree.
and then what about the 8 during the week? I would be inclined to just leave it as it's printed here.
which
It's
is,
a 7 to the island and then a 9 to the island. And it does give them a chance to de-ice and
well, I'll move that we approve the schedule as presented.
Can I ask a question? The cover sheet we have still has Labor Day weekend wrong. It says June 25th to August 31st, Labor Day
If
is,
you could go by
I know,
the,
the full breakdown.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had that corrected on the rate card that I'll be sending you.
Okay.
The dates are all corrected.
I'll second that motion.
Cal, can I just ask this, there was no way to get around a 2-week chunk in June? I mean, there's no way to extend it or start it earlier?
That is you're talking about the June 14th?
Wait.
Alright.
Okay, never mind.
No changes.
So May 8th to June 24th. Okay, I was looking at old information. Never mind.
There's a motion in a second.
Yep, if there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I just have another comment about that question that Mary had. Last year, we posted the expanded middle of June through end of June schedule on the web. Because we don't have enough room with the blocks on the rate card to do that detail. And there was so many changes that it's hard to communicate.
But we don't have a 2-week chunk this year. It goes from May 8th to June 24th.
Okay, there is a 2-week chunk, but what we did this last year was Leanne put it on the web. Okay. It's impossible to fit it on the rate card. It's like June 15th through, I don't know what it is. Just a minute, I gotta look at my, I'm gonna find it here.
Cal, are you in agreement? It's still a 2-week chunk?
No, there's this, I mean, the schedule that you have is what we're running. I think Robin's referring to a change that we did last year to accommodate some businesses on the island. Was not in the rack card, but we've incorporated those changes into what I proposed to, this schedule. It's all incorporated. So there wouldn't, what you're looking at is what we'd be running. The only difference here that isn't in there, that is sort of a TBD, is the first one of the spring. If ice conditions allow, we would start that sooner. That's really,
Sooner than April 24th.
yes. If ice conditions allow, we'd start that as soon as possible. As soon as we can get back to a more regular schedule.
Great.
Yeah, we approved it. Right. Next up on the agenda, discussion on removal of winter surcharge.
I'll make a motion to remove the winter surcharge.
Removal of the winter surcharge. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to have it, especially with the amount of revenue that the winter surcharge generates. 0.25% in our ridership would cause more disruption in our revenue than what the winter surcharge provides us.
I'm concerned it would alter the passenger rates or anything at that pedestrian level to accommodate the placement income. And I hope that we're going to look at the upper end of size trailers, semis, to generate that money instead.
We might not even need to generate money. I mean, 17,000 is a pretty small amount in our budget.
That's a good point too.
It's a rounding error.
Yeah. So
I mean, that's a half a day on Saturday in July.
Yeah, I want the motion again to remove the winter surcharge.
But it's for the
I'll second that.
It's not effective immediately. It's for 2026.
This is,
No, but
30 days.
30 days from the.
30 days
Soon as
after
we can get it
submit,
through
after the tariff paperwork is submitted, which we will submit immediately,
Board has to.
or after the town board approves it, yeah.
They would meet on Tuesday, so I would send it. to her.
So completely. Glenn, you had thrown out the idea of everything under 30 feet
Yeah, and I think, it's just gonna be easier
to just
to
remove it.
just remove it completely. And, frankly, I think, there was some discussion about leaving it in as a sort of permissive thing that the Harbor Commission could, because on the fuel surcharge, that's a Harbor Commission may impose, okay? The winter surcharge, it says the Harbor Commission will charge. And so there was some talk about just moving that from a will to a may, but I think that doesn't quite send the message that we want to send the island folks, which is that we don't intend to ever impose a winter surcharge again. Again, that's intent.
Which would mean striking all the language from the tariff.
Right. But I'm totally in for it, but I'd still, maybe for 2027, talk about a summer surcharge.
We can do that.
That's different.
Right, I understand, but
Yeah.
I agree, $17,000 isn't a whole chunk of money, but if we can make up that revenue and maybe even generate more by just, 25 cents each way on passenger fares as a summer surcharge.
I see how 26 goes and go from there.
On second Jay's motion.
I think Michael Collins already submitted it. But it's been seconded.
If there's no further discussion, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
So,
Cal, go ahead. Sorry, Mary.
go ahead.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, I think, again, in support of this, I think it totally makes sense. I think the big thing that just with this sort of change, where we're the space and cost of winter operation is a premium, right? We have significantly less space. We burn a lot more fuel using, the same amount of crew. So I just want to make sure that, at every opportunity we continue to, kind of make the public aware of that, as much as, we don't want to put an additional burden on the townspeople in the winter. I agree with that. That's awesome. We are still limited in space, and if we're filling up at the rate we are, there's not a lot that we can do to discourage traffic, by keeping the rates the same. So I'm just sort of, I'll probably keep bringing this up because I just know in about a week from now, we're going to have a lot of people, pushing for more and more and more. And I just want to make sure that that's communicated as early and frequently.
You should post something probably on Facebook. You're really
Yeah.
thinking about getting stuff over there.
And thank you, Cal. I would say, though, that it might be hard to imagine that people are going to now take a ferry ride over just because there's no winter surcharge.
Yeah.
I agree. And that's where I'm just trying to, I think that's there was some logic behind the winter surcharge of saying, almost like in the summers, when you have peak traffic, high demand, there's an increased cost to kind of, you have only so much space to sell, so if you put a premium on it, you might discourage, oversized or large traffic, or at least, better receive compensation for some of those larger things that are taking up a big portion of the deck. And that's really where I just think the message now just needs to say, hey, we're not trying to add any additional cost, but our space is reduced. We're all in this together. We've got to find, ways to reduce our footprint where we can, if we're not going to do it by disincentivizing through cost. If that makes sense.
Thank you, Cal.
We
It
will
does.
essentially be collecting the winter surcharge for another month, so it's great.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
We will shut down.
Next up, approval of bills.
Just so the rest of the commission knows, there was 2 additional bills from what I sent out on Tuesday. One of them is it's a $7,000 retainage fee to Yontu. It was part of the original invoice, it was, I think, at 2%.
That's the dock project.
Yes. And also the 2024 and 2025 reimbursement to the town for the Harbor Commission payroll.
Which is 80 something, you figured.
I think it's a total of 91,000.
91,405.
Yes. It's for 2 years, both Lauren and I.
I will move that we pay the bills in the amount of $167,566.71.
I'll second.
Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Future agenda items. Glenn pointed out the other day that there's a new opportunity for a raise grant. And I think maybe we could discuss that a little bit.
Yes, and I think Cal, you're aware of it. I think you've talked to Katie and Rich both. And it's now, instead of being called raise, it's called build. And I gather we're at the early stage of that at this point.
We've applied for it in the past.
We applied for a raise grant.
I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, this was,
Is that for the electric ferry boat?
yes.
No, it was for.
No, this was earlier.
It was for the purchase of the ferry company, and then the electric ferry was DOT.
I think the
The electric ferry was
energy.
EPA.
Okay,
No, you-
all right, fair.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the raise grant is Department of Transportation. We did that, what is it, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago? I can't remember.
Right, we
started.
wanted a percentage of the cost of purchase for the boats.
Yep.
Jump in whenever, Cal.
So yes, the raise, the build grant is DOT. The electric ferry was EPA. The only catch to this build grant is it is due around February 26th of this
That's
year.
right.
You know, so we have a month to move on this. KPFF, who has helped us with the EPA grant, has, you know, said that they think we're a great fit for this, that it would totally make sense. Again, I'm not sure if we would be able to, in a little over a month's time, without the aid of them, or, you know, again, if Richard, we might be able to do it, again, pool these resources together, but just to make everybody aware, it's, yes, we have about a month, you know, to complete this.
What do you have like on the shelf that could be utilized as far as plans and specs might apply to this application?
So on the shelf, I mean, relatively easy now that, and I'll start with that, and then I'll go into the second part. So on the shelf, we have, we have the new ferry, you know, that full size large ferry. That's one that, because we wrote a grant for that already, you can essentially pull data, change it, you know, a little bit to match, you know, the grant parameters. You know, maybe instead of it being a full electric ferry, it's a diesel that can be converted to electric in the future. You know, there's a lot of things.
Is that scalable also? Like be able to shrink it down in size?
Not
Or
in
not?
time, no.
Okay.
You know, and that, again, anytime. So we you know, we paid to build that model, and, you know, to do a full vessel model, so to have drawings that you can go and give to a shipyard and they can build from that is about $200,000 to $300,000 to have that. And then again, to edit those, you know, it's going to cost tens, 20, you know, a lot of money to scale it down. What we built though was just a general overview, which we paid about $10,000, you know, to build a, like, here it is, here's what it looks like, to give a shipyard enough to, you know, to get a bid together for it, essentially, and to make an understanding. So to rescale that, we would, you know, it'd be in the thousands, and we could, you know, you could say, hey, take that, let's scale it down. but you know, you might very well be right back at $10,000 by the time you're done with it, and it's still not the, you know, the final $300,000 build package drawing, right? So, and that's the thing, is that takes, you know, 2-ish months to realistically, even if I expedited our architect and I put it at the top of their list, that'd probably be about 2 months to change it. So realistically, we have that boat. Other things that we can apply for is money to build the designs. You know, so like I said, it's like $300,000. You could apply for money to build that. You could apply for money to explore that as well. And that was something that we considered on, you know, on the earlier one, was to go that route potentially as well. So we could do that here, and we could say, hey, we're very interested in maybe a smaller boat, or maybe a small boat and a big boat. Let's, you know, apply to have the, you know, the $300,000 drawings of both, you know, and we can go either way, or, you know, we could do a lot in the middle. But again, that's not off the shelf anymore then, right? And so now we have a month to develop that whole plan and get it put together. As far as anything else that we would have, you know, on the shelf, is I'm still exploring exactly what, you know, the grant parameters are. And so, you know, something like modifying the Queen's superstructure, which we've talked about, you know, historically as well, or doing a repower on the Queen, that is essentially an off-the-shelf solution. That is something that I could have, you know, ready to go in about a month's time. So those are really, you know, if we wanted to do a construction project, it would really be either we're going for the full, you know, full ferry, or, you know, potentially modifying the Queen. Otherwise, we could go for a development side, and then, you know, kind of the sky's the limit there, but we have about a month to hone in on what we actually want to pay for, you know, if we're awarded the grant.
Well, let's definitely get this on the next agenda and can discuss it then in further detail.
Is it a deal? It went over my head. Is it a state of Wisconsin grant? Is it a federal grant?
It just sounds like a DOT.
It's DOT.
Thank you.
And we're gonna have another meeting here pretty soon. I mean, I'd like to see us apply for this, if nothing else, Ellen, to put in a request for payment for engineering and architectural fees to design something. I'm intrigued by the suggestion that you made at one of our meetings of considering a passenger / ambulance only boat that was capable of cutting through enough ice to get us to an ice road. Is that something that we could ask for design? Because it sounds like there's no way we can get even a number together for something like that before the end of February. But we could probably get a number together for how much it would cost to design and engineer that.
Yeah, that's, you know, that's totally an option, that we could do that. And I think that that's realistic. Again, it wouldn't even necessarily need to be, I think, totally boxed in as far as, okay, well, it's got to carry one ambulance, it's got to carry 150 passengers. I think, you know, we just say, hey, roughly this size, roughly this capability. I think that's feasible. But a lot of this is what, you know, I've found from doing this historically. I had about 3 months to get together, you know, so much information on the last one, is that, you know, all these people that we're working with that have to come up with these numbers and, you know, commit to this, you know, aren't really looking at starting projects for about a month out. So, you know, I put it as it's a worthwhile endeavor. I think at a minimum we should, you know, pursue it and try. And then again, at worst cases, we're ready, you know, to try and pursue it, or we can expand on that for the next one. And in a year's time, we might be at a better spot if there's the same opportunity to go for a construction grant versus an exploration grant. But again, an exploration grant is awesome because you can knock out anywhere from $300,000 to $500,000 of work that you're going to have to pay for in the construction grant anyway.
Right. Thank you.
another future agenda item. I will most likely have the expenses from December, so we'll have a better idea of amounts we would need to borrow from in town.
So where we're gonna borrow money from in March?
Yes, well, it just depends, we can get to the meeting dates, but just an agenda item, we should go
Yeah.
ahead and have that on there. I'd love to have that squared away before
Agreed.
I leave.
In meeting dates,
Yes, we are.
do we want to do it?
Or we're still on agenda items technically, but,
Is there any other agenda items anyone wants to add?
Hopefully we'll hear back from the school.
Yep.
I think Katie could just update us on, in her report on that. I don't know if we need any action. All right. Now we're in meeting dates.
So do we
Given what
want to
Cal
do
just talked about, oh, sorry. Zach, given what Cal was just saying, and the obvious short time that we've got for any grant, we've got to decide this pretty quickly. And if there's a way we could do this in a week, that would be great. I mean, another meeting.
How about the 19th, Monday, the 19th? That's a week from this coming Monday.
Yep. One
Sure.
thing we do have as an advantage on the raise grant or the DOT side, whatever the name of it is now, is that there's a ton of information that's required in advance, many pages. And we've got that assembled. So that part won't take as much time to assemble the basic data, what organization is asking for what. We've got a lot of that already down. And also the DOT did a pretty solid review of our application. And I think we're in good position to have somebody like Rich take a look at this and move. But I know we're talking about future dates, so forgive me for rattling on, but that's something we can tackle really quickly.
We just need the direction that we want to go.
Yes, that's right.
Following up with.
And I'm intrigued by the idea of, since let's keep talking about it, of improvements to the Queen.
I agree.
I mean, I would assume this would
absolutely.
cover the removal of the
Yeah, sure.
I like the
passenger cabin on the other side.
Yep.
Maybe a repower. That could go a long way in being able to move passengers and
You should flip it over to the
Yeah.
inside.
I guess a question for Cal. In terms of modifying the superstructure, is it strictly to get rid of, on the starboard side, the enclosed seat? Then where would there be any additional seating then put on the port side or someplace else?
We'd funnel everybody down into the hold. And no, I'm kidding. Yeah, we'd
Perfect.
we'd
Make sure there's a fire suppression system.
everybody's going through a hatch in the morning. The plan would be on the port side would be to extend that outdoor seating and enclose that, which we might be able to reuse a lot of the structure and the bones of that and just sort of extend and add some bracing. But that would be the general premise, is you'd get rid of the starboard bread box altogether. And then you would, make a very enlarged passenger cabin on the port side with new insulation, with better heating, more stairwells, that sort of a situation. So it would not only increase heated, passenger accommodation, but it would also massively increase oversized vehicle accommodation. So it'd be a win-win on both fronts.
Well, we'll get it on the agenda.
So what time on the 19th?
Like 4, let's do the afternoon meeting.
I will be out of the country, so I will not be available.
Or what we've been doing?
4:30.
Oh, 19th, Monday the 19th at 4:30.
I mean,
Next up is public comment B.
I have just one. Just learned yesterday from Ashland County that they have been awarded $6.2 million to repave and widen County H. And they don't expect that it will start before 2028, but just put that on your particular list.
6
2 million. I don't know any more details, whether the widening would include bike lanes or whether it would be all of County H. But 6.2 million's a lot more than was spent on the Hagan Road project. So I imagine that there would also be a lot of equipment coming over.
Right. Probably set up a hot mix plant the way they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we're probably 2 years out from this, so.
I would make a public comment that I was really glad to see the winter tariffs removed as surcharge, and that I think it's a really good example of why the town purchased this ferry so that we could increase benefits to the town.
You're here.
Here, yeah.
Any additional public comment? If not, let's move on to agenda item 12, review of Miffle management contract.
We need,
And not that I,
Are we gonna go?
I'll make a motion that we go into closed session.
I'll second that under state statute 19.85, pren 1, pren E, purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, so on and so forth. Roll call vote, Mary Ross,
Aye.
Michael Collins,
Aye.
Susan Whitmer.
Yes.
Joseph Wiltz.
I,